Mic check. Mic check. Oh man. I need to give it some gain. Because it smells bad. Oh, that's going to take a minute to open. Light bulb click. Sound settings. Monitor back on. Does anyone else hear voices? Please say it's not just me. Why is that pointing there? No idea. Try again. Do this. Don't do that. Can't you read the signs? Thank you for confirming my worst fears. Wait. Oh, duh. I just need to find the Yeti? Microphone Yeti? Oops. Oh my goodness, I can't click. Help? You. Wow. Okay. It's being something. Okay, hopefully I'm not blowing out too much. I had to use the gain knob on the microphone itself. But hello, and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. Yosh, can you even see the archery on this screen? I'm gonna go ahead and hop over here. Oh. Man, I need to put the archery on its own scene and have that everywhere, so we don't have that happen. Try shooting anyway, Big Gamey, see what happens. Well, that's one channel point I'm not getting back. Ah, boo. Anyway, hi, welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion, and today is Friday, and on Fridays on this channel, we do Community Day streams. Community Day. And on our channel, what that means is I will be hopping into Discord as soon as I get everything set up and put together and I get caught up, and in a voice channel, and I will invite you to also hop into Discord in any voice channel. Then let me know that you're in a voice channel and would like to join the voice channel for the stream, where your lovely voice will come through and we can have a conversation about whatever you want. If you're not comfortable doing that, if you don't want your voice coming through on stream, you can always start a conversation in chat. And now that we are here in the stream, I can't remember any of the things from last week that came up throughout the week that I was like, man, that'd be a cool topic to discuss. So I can't remember anything ever. So anyway, so let's get Community Day started. The other thing that happens on Community Day is that I work on a different project. This thing. There it goes. Back. Which is the bot. So we have a bot on this channel, as you saw Big Gamey exemplifying. I want to try your shoot. Let's try a 60-50. Whoa. 60-20. Oh my gosh, that's really close. Nope. What in the world? It went right through the target. Anyway, so there you have it. What am I saying? You got to use the archery redeem, which is a redemption for 1 whole paw point before you can shoot. So click on the below the screen. Where are we? There we go. All right, you got it. And so it tells you will type exclamation point and either shoot or pew, and then an angle and a magnitude from 0 to 100. The angle is from -180 to, or -90 to 90. And then maybe in the future, maybe if we get good enough, you can have a trick shot where you bounce the arrow off of some element that's on the actual screen. If you want, you can also shoot straight at the target, but what fun is that? It's much more fun to try to get airtime, in my opinion. That is a really nice color for your arrow. Your name is showing up as red on my screen, but and then pink down here, but the arrow is this lime green color, a nice bright lime green. It was cool. This is what we have been working on lately, which is a redesign of the app. You can see that we finished up styling, or not really finished, but we did a lot of the styling for the company icon that's going to be in the footer. And ¿qué más? That's it. That's all I'm going to say about our normal stream project. TBDGamer, I was just on your stream and I couldn't hear, but I had a feeling that you're going to do that. So if you guys don't know TBDGamer, he is an amazing app developer. He works on 2 projects of his own on stream. I finished. Finally, before I fall over from lack of food, please enjoy your food. Here's a shout out for TBDGamer. So project number 1 that he works on his stream is called Water Drink Water, which right now he needs to do Food Eat Food. Please don't fall over. And so Water Drink Water is a community project that he has going on. You can contribute to it. You can do PRs, fixes, whatever you feel like doing to help out with that community project. It's a goals-oriented app where you set a goal for how much water you want to drink, and you drink it, and you track it. And then you get little good boy, good girl messages. Food has been sat next to me for the last 3 hours. That's so sad. You should have eaten when you went to take out your pups. So there's that project, and then his and that's on Monday and Tuesday. His Wednesday through Friday project is a project management app, like a platform for tracking projects and the tasks associated with them. And you may be thinking, well, we already have this. It's called Azure DevOps. It's called Jira. It's called GitHub Issues. It's called Trello. But this one is actually geared towards developers to track and not let stuff fall through the cracks, not leave things in backlog as untouched and I forgot what even this task was kind of situations. So there's a lot more to his approach for managing projects that I think would be very beneficial. So this app is not open source, but he does do a lot of the development of it on stream. I got words. You do a lot better job of explaining my project. I'm just making it up as I go. I'm assuming things and saying this is what I want his project to be able to do and what it's geared towards, because it's the kind of project I would want. Don't forget to end your stream though in OBS. Just saying. as it ends. I mean, I like your outro music and all. Okay, so let's talk about. Oh, actually, let's do a clip shout out. TBDGamer.
Of POS and Windows. Sorry. That was cool. I apologize.
Don't apologize for that. That was perfect. You have nothing to apologize
So let's
for.
see if we can get the endpoint and inject it here.
Listen to that smooth radio voice too.
It was low and very bad.
An amusing one, finally. Yeah, we're always getting one where you're just doing your development, which I love, which is awesome. But that clip it started off strong. I am going to go ahead and put the archery bot on its own scene real quick. So let's create a new scene. Everything's going to go dark for a second. You there. Archery bot. Okay. And we're going to put this way up here. I'm going to add a source, a sauce, as it were, which actually I want to copy the one from here, please, because that is way too much work to get it set up and positioned and all that stuff. But first, I gotta find it. Wait, because this is the welcome screen. I meant here. Bot. I need to pull you out here. Copy. Paste reference. Cool. All right. And then back on this scene, we can delete. If I delete a reference, hey, finite. If I delete a referenced object, will that also delete it up here? No. Okay. Good. And then we will add a scene. Archery bot. I want it to be an AR bot. Okay, so that should be good. And now let me add that scene to starting screen. Add scene archery bot. Okay. Welcome screen. Add scene archery bot. If you guys want quality OBS work, he's streaming currently. You don't. I'm not suggesting that you leave my stream or anything, but he is worth watching. Finite Singularity is super duper talented when it comes to making plugins and effects. Did I spell his name correctly? I sure hope so. Check him out for tips, tricks, cool stuff. Where else? Let's go with the out to lunch. Who knows? I might be using this in the near future. Who knows? Anything ever. Serially, man. Archery butt. Archery butt. Super secret screen so that if someone is in the middle of an archery game, I will not interrupt it if I have to hop to the super secret screen. I'll read your stuff, Napalm. I promise. I'm almost there. Te prometo. Herb screen. I bet you there's an easier way. I bet you I could just right click, copy, right click, pasta. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Right click, pasta, delete. I said, so weird that the dialogues in OBS have been taking a million billion years. Okay, so let's see if the archery game persists across scenes. There's the archery game there. There. Same one still. So if I shoot at 2 degrees north and 80 velocity, and I'll miss. And then I go to another scene, like my super secret scene. And still there. Lunch scene, still there. I'll definitely work on making it more visible on the other scenes. But for now, the thing that matters is we didn't lose state or anything. 90. Oh my gosh. Let's just do full on. Flaming arrows would be awesome. Flaming arrows would be magnificent. Let me write it down. So it would be a power-up that you could add to your arrows. Homing arrows just for the fun of it. We'll just turn it into worms. How about that? Worms where you're only using the bow and arrow. I don't have my notepad open. What? Dude, you should always have... Oh, I restarted recently. Have you seen Connie Dev's stream? I have seen Connie Dev's stream. And it's a much better archery game. Hello, Soft and Software. Great stream yesterday. I was lurking, but I couldn't say anything because... Oh man, I told BitGamey that I would be right back to his stream after I had my lunch, after we raided him. No, what was going on? We didn't raid him yesterday. Yesterday I didn't stream. I was in BitGamey's stream yesterday. Something happened that made me step away and I said I'll be right back, but then I couldn't make it back. And then I was just quiet. I think that was yesterday. I don't know. I don't know anything. But anyway, I was lurking on your stream as well. And I couldn't anything else yesterday. There's so much going on right now. And of course, streaming today is giving me a bit of anxiety because there's a lot of stuff over the next month that I want to clean up and get done. But I don't want to miss out on this opportunity to hang out with you guys. So with that said, I am going to scroll up because I am, for the most part, ready for the actual community day to start. So coming in hot in first was Stream Elements, quickly followed by BitGamey's Let's Go. Actually, not really quickly followed. He waited about the entire intro of the stream and then a few minutes after even. So here goes a shout out for BitGamey. I don't remember when it was that I told you that I would be right back. And then I came back and then immediately had emails and a call and just a whole bunch of stuff happening. Yeah. So anyway, shortly after that, Napalm said happy Friday. And I said almost every day is a discussion about me leaving. What? What is this in response to? Happy Friday. Did I really type this? I don't remember typing this. Almost, as in I'm almost ready to go. I'm almost ready to start the stream is what I was intending to say with that. Almost. Every day is a discussion about me leaving. So we have to have, like, at minimum a 2-hour discussion about my decision to leave Sagetti. And in fact, I'm still having conversations with HR and the regional manager person for what options can they offer me in order for me to stay with Sagetti, even if it's not on the team that I'm currently on. And I told them that I would give them my honest, genuine consideration. So I'm going to do just that. But it's very difficult to beat the offer that I currently have. And I don't mean financially either. They could probably beat it financially if they tried. But the environment, the project itself, just everything about it. Okay, and then APOC woke me up while I was talking with my PM. And my PM was like, "What was that?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. It's just my stream." I don't know how many different ways I said, "Okay, well, I need to go," to kind of be like, let's end this conversation where you're kind of saying the same thing over and over, and you're thinking through this thing that you need to do because I'm leaving the team, but you're kind of just saying it out loud, and you don't really need me here for it, except you need the audience anyway. But it's hard to be very assertive about that because it is still normal workday time, and you're kind of, it's just that on my calendar every Monday, Wednesday, Friday I have this time blocked off as unavailable, and I asked them, is this going to be a bother, and they said no. So respect the time then. Dang it, that's all I'm asking. So anyway, Big Amy then said something about leaving others in your dust. And I'm like, I don't really want to leave them in the dust. I want to leave them in this nice, pristine, easy to maintain work environment that they can continue being successful, because I want to see them be successful. Just because I'm leaving doesn't mean that I don't want the project to continue being successful, or even the people on the team. I want them to thrive and succeed as well, because I will be too. And even if I wasn't going to be, I would still say. But yes, I am good. Thank you for asking, APOC. And really, I do appreciate your bits. All of your bits. And then I started talking, and Big Gamey was hearing voices at the same time that I was talking. That's such a weird thing. It's like just coincidental that he started hearing voices when I was talking. It was odd. Napalm said a thing that I wanted to respond to. Where it is. Oh, I haven't even gotten there yet. Man. Okay, so then there was some archery playing that I totally botched. And Kage no Tensai is here. He came back. Thank you so much for being back. Good to see you. Kage no Tensai. I'm going to get it right the first time next time. And then TBDGamer rated us. And Napalm is saying, my demo is going well, but I ran into an issue with Aspire. Client-side code cannot use the service discovery endpoint for the Signal R hub, meaning if you had more than one replica, the client code can't use more than one. Thinking about trying a YARP proxy. I'm not understanding why, but I'm sure you've done your due diligence to verify that that is true. Especially since I don't have enough or have any experience with using Aspire as it is. But yeah. Like the main thing that I could see is the cores issue. But that's about it. We talked about TBDGamer's projects. We got a good clip. Speaking of clips, here's a Softism software clip. So I didn't talk much about him yet, but Softism software is a. I was waiting until I got down to him, but you should be able to see here shortly. No clips, unless I typed it incorrectly. Oh, no, I did. I typed it correctly. Soft as in software. Okay, good. So I'll talk about him here in a second. But yeah, he finally has the PR out for the work that he was doing, I'm assuming. TBDGamer, nice service mesh, right? Question man. Digisoft is, well, here. Well, hopefully you're feeling okay. If not, you're at the right place. Talk to me. Reach out. Let us know. I left my stand-up yesterday with dropping off in chat. I hate doing that, but I've had to do that so many times where it's like, okay, you guys are kind of just going off and we are 10 minutes past the meeting time end. I'm going to drop now. You don't need me. I don't want to interrupt your conversation. It sounds like it's a good conversation for you guys, but I'm going to drop. Napalm said, I haven't messed much with service mesh. Haven't really been at a shop that is okay, that is all in on Kubernetes. Man, reading is hard. TBDGamer says, I'm hoping 1, Ocelot is updated to support GraphQL, or 2, something swaps out neatly that does. How about Entity Framework? And only Entity Framework. I'm kidding. One guy I worked with when he left the company. Oh, hello, Foolish Nabel. When he left the company, the last thing he did was sending an FU email to everyone. Yeah, that is not anywhere within my wheelhouse. I wouldn't even be able to. Even at the places that treated me the worst, if I didn't have anything nice to say, I still said cordial goodbyes and talked only about the experiences that I found value in. But I don't have any reason to be like, well, you people were really, really terrible to me and I hope you all burn in hell or something. That's not a me thing. I still want them to succeed. Just because I have a different viewpoint on how people should be treated than they do does not mean that they are wrong. Just means that I want to be somewhere else where there are people that agree with my point of view more. Or at least, are neutral. Nothing quite like burning some bridges. TBD said, I kind of like using console. I don't know console. Console. Like consulate. Console. The only bridge I've ever burned is poaching a former teammate 6 months after I left. Unfortunately, he was a fundamental component of their infrastructure ops team. Oh no. I mean, that's kind of the situation that I'm in, where they have 2 developers that are really good at the hardware layer and all of the software and stuff needed to manipulate the hardware and do the diagnostics testing, and they're very knowledgeable about it. They can take care of that part, but they are less strong with UI. Especially Blazor. They have very little Blazor experience. One of them did make a XAML control, and I think I told you about that, and has some knowledge of Blazor and did what did he do? I think he worked on the Angular part of their app, before we turned it into Blazor. But anyway, so we are really going to want to find someone that is knowledgeable in UI and can either pick up Blazor or already has familiarity with Blazor. So, oh, that said, if there are any of you out there that are interested in, and you live in the US, I believe you have to be in the US for this team specifically, are interested in most likely remote work, doing remote work as a UI developer, specifically UI portion of it, and you have Blazor experience, and send me your information on Discord in a private message, and I can refer you. I'll try to make sure that I don't leave a mess behind, because what I'm going to spend this last month on after we finally release and I finish with this warranty card stuff is documenting the UI structure and how to use the components and where they exist and how to modify things and maintain the existing stuff. Napalm says, so DNS is internal to the Aspire orchestrator. Thus, I cannot use the service discovery endpoint outside the orchestrator's network, which clients would obviously be outside the network. Browser has to make the call from JS. So instead of using YARP, do you have a service that could be running inside of the network that can do that step? More like a intermediary, kind of like what you would do in a three-legged authentication where you control the backend, not PKCE. Or you would still use PKCE for it, but you know what I mean. Mumbling now. TBDGamer said, but he wanted to be a developer and I needed a developer, so I mean, opportunities happen and you could. I don't think it would be polite to fault someone for taking opportunities that are presented to them. So API service is a proxy. Aspire puts in front of something like an API, which could point to multiple instances of the app service running in separate containers. Oh, and then TBDGamer said, that sounds like something other people will have come up against. And then Napalm said, you would think so, but I have an open Q&A with David Fowler. Can't find an answer. And then here it is, so I may as well bring this up on screen. And then we'll take a closer look at it after I catch up in chat. I see Disco's name, so hopefully that means I'm somewhere close to caught up. I don't know. And then Snubble said, I'm thankfully old enough to feel comfortable dropping off when the conversation gets irrelevant. He was a weird guy. Oh, I don't know who the weird guy is that you're referring to, but I don't think I can't say this for sure because I don't know my future, but I don't think I'm ever going to be comfortable with just, dropping a call, dropping a conversation, or leaving. It will always affect me. I will do it more often, but I will not be comfortable doing it still. We're like, look, I got these things lined up. This is my time schedule, and this was only supposed to take this amount of time. We've gone over by more than the margin that I would allow for, courtesy. And so I'm okay with doing the dropping off, but it's still going to bother me. Which is paradoxical, but doesn't matter. We're allowed to be that. We're humans. TBDGamer said, we had a company meeting on Monday. At the end, they do breakout groups, so you can meet other people in the company. I dropped that call quicker than you can say hello. I haven't got time to be talking awkwardly to strangers right now. I don't have the desire to. So you remember how one comment that you made about Figma and UI design and stuff like that is that you don't have the desire to do whatever, or the patience, I think is what you said. You don't have the patience for that. That is the area that I don't have patience in. If it's for the purpose of actual team building, I'm all for it. But if it's for the purpose of social constructs that we must adhere to in order to maintain status quo, no thanks. Happy hours and lunch meetups and whatever, no thanks. Not for me. It's usually management, not the dev team. Or let me see if I can pick this thread back up. Nope, can't remember that one. They don't deserve the suffering. Oh, yeah, okay. So my whole point is, regardless of who it is, I still want to leave it better than it was when I got here. And I don't care if I had issues with the entire team. I just want it to be... I want the new person. I'm like thinking about the new person coming in and then the rest of the team also benefiting from anything that I might have done in hopefully a maintainable way. Yeah, that's just how I am. It's what I do. Ooh, TBDGamer is in the waiting room. Thank you for letting me know. If you aren't familiar with what I normally say, mute the stream. And then you should be able to hear me in Discord and also see the screen real time. Okay, I'm pulling you in now. And hello, mic check, mic check.
Should be able to hear me okay?
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I had to plug a different microphone in because the stream isn't set up for this one.
Really?
I normally split out the audio into, because I have two PCs, one to stream, one to dev on, and then I split my work laptop through a Sound Blaster interface. But it broke last week, so I only have two plugged in, and work take one of them. So I've got a spare microphone sat around.
It's my fault.
But the reason I joined is like you were talking about the dropping off calls and stuff, and, and I think you've got a very polite approach to those things, and I think the longer I've spent dealing with people who just love the sound of their own voices, which I could be accused of because I stream all the time, love talking.
Well, your voice is pretty nice.
But
how can you not?
But it's like, you know, when people just get off into these rambling things, and it just becomes, it's just a waste of everyone's time, and dropping off is the only thing you can do, short of cutting into everything.
Yeah, in line with that, what happened today was we had our stand-up, and I think I told you, but the PM is doing a lot better at understanding that stand-ups aren't supposed to be intended for project planning and stuff. Yep. That's breakout sessions after. But he's like, I need to meet with this other team member and Umberto so that we can talk about this issue afterwards. And we waited until afterwards and then started it, had the discussion about the issue at hand, and then the other person and then project manager was like, okay, so Umberto and I are going to hash this out now that we've talked it through. We're going to implement the change. So Tester, you can drop. And Tester started talking about, you know, things that have been going on in life and what this weekend is going to be like for them. And I'm like, I only have 30 minutes left. How do I say, okay, I really like that you want this camaraderie story or whatever the purpose is behind doing this, but I'd like to get this thing done so that I can get off the phone in time.
Yeah. I'm guilty sometimes of sharing the personal stuff because, again, you don't, especially when you're working remote all the time, you don't get to build up those interpersonal relationships quite the same way.
Right.
But you know, but I hope that people know that cut me off when it's time, because I kind of watch who's in. Like, we normally start, and if we're just waiting for people, I normally talk about stuff just to kind of break the silence.
Right.
I'm also mindful of, okay, we need to get on with it now. Let's move.
Yeah, we have our quorum, so let's get started, kind of thing. Yeah. Snubble said, I thought stand-ups are planning, retro, catch-up, team building, all in just 15 minutes.
We can do it that way. I'm down.
The thing that you said, though, is that there is this interpersonal relationship that is getting built within a team. I have a very different view on that. Which is stigmatized in our society. It's like, I don't really want to get to know you as a person. I would love to know that you are reliable and dependable and you do your work. But beyond that, I don't really need to know your personal details or know you on a more personal level than that.
Yeah, I suppose I've worked for bigger companies and I've worked for small companies, and like when I was in the UK, I worked for a company that did car parking software and stuff, and they were a small family-run company, and they kind of did a lot of socializing. They pay for everyone to go out and hang out, and on weekends and stuff, or they pay for trips to places and stuff. So it's pretty good. But it was,
That'd be a
it kind of
nightmare.
it built that teammate aspect. Definitely was helpful. So I enjoyed that aspect. But then when you work in larger organizations, there's less personability, and it's like I kind of miss it. And for me right now, I miss working with teams. I work with a group of people, but we kind of all do our own thing.
Right.
So I don't get to work with a team. I don't get to build relationships in that way or work on the same software or the same challenges. So I kind of miss that part.
And so this is the point where, or the discussion trail where I would exemplify what I mean. It's like, I kind of was hoping that because this is a larger corporation that I would just blend in and be invisible and not really be bothered, but allowed to do my job with a team where everyone is responsible for their stuff. We get together, we have synergy when we are pair programming on a issue. We're all working together for the same goal, but there's a lot less extraneous interaction, is what I call it, than there has been. And it's been a lot.
Yeah. I guess it's like I love building software. It's part of why I stream. I love building software. I love sharing that experience. I love discussion, and I always encourage it, right? I don't care if someone comes in and says, hey, this is terrible, that's horrendous code, you should do it this way, right? I love that just for the sake of having that conversation about, okay, well, that's your opinion. Now let's discuss it. So I'm open to the discussion all the time, because I've always been in a position in my career where I'm either super far ahead of everybody else, or I'm nowhere near everybody else because they've got all this business knowledge. So I'm sat in the corner waiting to catch up. But then when I get an opinion on the software, it's like it's held back. So I kind of like that interaction and the discussion.
Yeah, and again, that to me would be that work relationship that makes perfect sense to me.
Weird. Yeah.
Where we're discussing the work at hand and maybe helping each other improve or give criticism in a constructive way, of course. I love that. But then it always devolves into, well, there's also this book that I recommend, or this song, or here's what's going on my weekend.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Yeah, the more personal sharing is a little harder, but I normally do it because I don't like silence. And I grew up being very shy and quiet, and normally it's like, okay, well, I want to find something to talk about, and I'll tell you about, like, I share it on stream as well, like with the karate and things like that. I share those personal things because it's just a way of, interacting and finding some commonality in sometimes.
Right, and mine is definitely only sharing when it is a situation that is appropriate according to me. So like streaming, I'm not getting paid to do streaming or anything like that. And so I'm choosing to be here, I'm choosing to hang out with you. And if you're choosing to hang out with me as well in this platform, this is a place where we talk about, what are you doing this weekend? What have you been doing in your personal life? What's going on for you? I'm cool with that. But
I, for one, am very happy that you made that choice, or are making that choice.
Streaming or leaving the job?
Just hanging out with us, taking time in your day.
Yeah.
When I jumped
this
in,
one
your
is a
audio
big
was
desire.
on the wrong device, so it started, basically screaming at me.
Oh, jeez.
Took me a second there.
Okay.
But now it's all good.
But But yeah, for me, it's like I have a desire to talk with, and it's not just like-minded people, but people in the same industry that have differing opinions that I could learn from or gain something from. And those are the ones that I opt into. And that's why I stream. That's why I like talking with you guys and having a community day, especially.
Yeah, I love it. The way that, we have an open day where it's not, misunderstand me correctly here, but where it's not just you talking to us, but the people who want to join are welcome to.
Yep.
And I always look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I did have a, there's plenty of conversation pieces that come up in TBDGamer's channel. Definitely check them out if you have the availability to. And then, of course, just watch. Did I give you a proper shout out yet, Thindal?
I do not believe so.
Let's talk about Thindal really quick. Thindal is an app developer that works on modernizing legacy application. If you want to talk more about the project you're working on, feel free to.
Yeah, sure. It's a web shop that started out in 2012 on web forms, and it's being converted over to Net8, which does not have web forms. So it's been in basically preparation for the migration for the last year or so, but I just started and created the new project for it, and because of all the preparation, it's going great. So yeah, that's the project, and try to do it educationally and have people follow along with my thought process, which
have a
isn't
distracting
always
cat that
correct
comes
the
on
first
camera.
time around, but yeah.
You and your distracting cat.
Yes.
Every time she comes around, I'm like my head is turned this way, and then just I'm trying to cut. Why are you there? Why are you doing that? Stop that.
Yeah,
Both
she's
cats.
pretty cute.
There's a thought process. So
Barely, Duca. Oh, sorry, barely, Snobble. Barely. And yes, it's a Duca shop. I have a redeem for Duca-ing a variable where you get to prefix a variable with the name Duca.
Yes.
And
Should
it
be
has
on every
introduced
stream.
so much complication in the code.
And you leave them in there?
Huh?
You leave those variables in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for private
yeah.
projects, yes. For
Heck
things going
yeah.
up to GitHub, no, I actually remove it after the
Oh,
stream. But
I don't have
for
that
internal
manual, do
code,
I?
yeah, why not? Duca, I mean. Who
Yeah,
wouldn't
I've always been afraid of doing anything redeem-wise revolving around my code on stream because I just can't, my brain can't focus on that.
Because you'll see it and you'll be like,
oh no, that's
stuck.
name wrong. Like, no, out. Refactor time.
Yeah. It does get complicated at times. Like, why does this say Duca? Oh, right, it's because of Duca. And then you have to try and figure out what it actually does.
I just forget where I put mine.
Prefix it rather than just replace
Oh,
the
yeah.
variable names. It's not like Duca 1, Duca 2, Duca.
Kinda. Nah,
Okay,
it's prefix or suffix.
Uh-huh.
So it does say what it was, but it gets a little bit difficult to read after a little bit.
Actually.
So I am a sad today.
Why are you a sad? Sag.
I just got a negative response from a conference I
Aw.
submitted to. They don't want me.
Oh.
This makes Thindal a little bit sad.
Hmm.
Well,
But just remember that you have had
conferences.
Sorry, say again. I talked over
Sorry,
you.
let me get off. As I say, props to applying for conferences and stuff. I have mad respect for people who are willing to go out and put themselves out there like that.
Yeah, thank you. I've done it twice.
Yeah.
So I'm very green at it, but it would be nice to do it another time, you know? So,
before
Duke,
the
I'm afraid
pandemic
there
hit.
will be no Copenhagen for me.
Are you still gonna go?
Not sure. Not sure, but I'll consider it.
I don't know if you guys
Just
heard
before the
that. That was
pandemic hit.
loud.
Just before the pandemic hit, my company was trying to organize an on-site for all the developers, and they were like, "You need to do a talk." I'm like, what? So in front of they've got the company that I was working for at the time had like 120 developers, so it was like a real off-site for us, and like you've got to do a talk on something. And one of the things that always bugged me was the efficiency. So like the whole planning thing is not something that's new to me. It's something that I do care about improving and trying to get my head around. So I kind of I built a talk around, making the most out of your teams and effectively communicating within teams and stuff. And the week it was due, the pandemic hit, and they never put it back on the schedule. So and then I've left. So
Well,
that was the
this
only
is a
time I've ever
platform you
been-
can use.
Yeah.
Because that
Would
sounds
be
super
good
beneficial.
or bad, TBD?
Yeah. So
Are you
was,
happy that they canceled it, or are you sad because you spent all that time at work, preparing it?
Happy because I got out of speaking to an audience, that big. I've streamed for 5 years, so it's not like I'm not accustomed to speaking to people, but you don't get to see the faces when you're streaming. No. You're speaking sometimes, like my stream today, I was speaking to pretty much, I assume, one line lurking, and that's it. Right? That was it for pretty much 45 minutes at the beginning of the stream.
You were so concerned about it too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I can get over it, but when you're streaming, you're kind of talking just to a screen, right? But then the idea.
I don't know. I can. There is like, oh man, I don't know how to put this without just it being weird. So it'll be weird. I have essentially an audience that lives in my head that is always listening, always either cheering or booing at me, or yelling at me for stuff. It's typically yelling at me, but I never feel like when I'm even just talking on stream and no one is responding, it doesn't really register for me that there isn't anyone responding, because I'm getting constant feedback from this audience that lives in my head.
No.
I think I get spoiled by the streams that are very discussion heavy. And then I'm like, I want a discussion heavy stream. This is a good stream. And then I'm like, oh no, there's no one talking. So I put music on. I tried to put music on, and then I realized you can either listen to the music or you can talk about what you're doing, but you can't do both. So nope. Brain shut off. I was like, I can't think about what I'm going to say. So I turned the music immediately off. So
I always have some music going in my ears. Yeah, I'm not transmitting it to stream because of copyright stuff, but also I feel that letting people choose their own music on streams is better instead of listening to what I want to listen to. They can add my voice, and then they can have Spotify going or whatever at the same time.
I just have lo-fi music on. No words, no nothing.
Yeah, that's all I put on. I put on like a lo-fi track in the background as low as I could, and I still couldn't actually focus on talking and listening to the music. So,
well, like for me, I mean, you've seen
I used to listen to music all the time.
You've seen my stream before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I have all of these.
You managed to do that.
I try not to have it muted, but I have them at 1 for everyone except the stream that I happen to be focusing on. So right now, Bardaki is up just a little bit more. But it's strange, because one of my biggest gripes with the previous office that I worked in was that they like to yell across at each other instead of walking to each other's office. And I sat pretty much in a cubicle in the middle of the floor, and they all had offices, and they just would yell back and forth at each other. And I'm like, man, this is breaking my concentration. Or people walking by, or anything physical. And the thing that I found out is, if I'm expecting someone to be asking for my attention, which happens whenever I'm around people physically, because there's always a chance of danger being physically around people in my head. So then I get distracted. But if it's just, someone is streaming, they're talking with other people, then typically it's just background noise. It's like having a song on for me, so it doesn't distract
Yeah,
me.
I can't have people talking. I can't do talk radio or like pods or whatever because I can't concentrate properly. Singing music, I mean music with songs and stuff like that, that's fine because I don't really listen to the lyrics, it's just sound, and that's fine. But having people talking with like, okay, so these are words and maybe I should listen to them, that just breaks my concentration totally. Hey, Napalm.
Quite the group today.
Yep.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hello.
So, going back a little bit there, TBD, this is going to sound really weird, or perhaps not, but seeing, after a raid, having all of a sudden 50 viewers on stream feels way more stressful than actually, doing that thing live. With live, I mean, you are panicking on the stage
like an
until you
on-stage
start
thing.
talking.
Okay. I was like, they're
and
both
then it's
live.
No, sorry. It's like when you're streaming and you see, okay, so there's 50, 60 people here, I start getting flustered. But once you start talking in front of people, and I mean like opening your mouth, not when you start doing it regularly, it just goes.
Yeah.
And you don't see it, but I counted the number of heads on a photo afterwards, and it was like, what? Almost 100 people in the audience. And it felt like it was 15, and, just talked. So that was actually easier than I thought it would be once you got started.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just a recommendation, if you ever want to try it, it's not as terrible as you might think beforehand.
Well, it sounded like he was going to try it anyway.
Well, I think I kind of cut away from my answer before. So, yeah, was I excited that it was cancelled? A little bit, because it took away that fear. But in the same, I was disappointed because then it took away that fear. And I think sometimes that fear is what drives you forward. So, facing that fear was a big part of it for me. So, in a way, I'm disappointed I never got to do it. And maybe I should try and come up with some conference talks that would be useful. But again, that imposter syndrome kicks in hard.
Yeah, that is my main issue. Like, what do I know that anyone else would be interested in because I suck?
Yeah.
But I know that I don't suck. But sometimes you feel like it anyways.
All right.
But I think live streaming, like live coding, actually helps with the do I actually know what I'm talking about portion of it. But
well, for me, it's I know I don't know what I'm talking about, so somebody please correct me so that I can learn.
People keep not correcting me on things.
You are awesome.
I'm good at making things up and giving people the impression I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I think that's kind of our entire business. We kind of shoot from the hip and see if it sticks, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'll do it in so many different ways too. Like mine is intuition. That's like, all right, I see the direction this is going. This is the most likely thing, even though I've never encountered this before. But it kind of matches this other pattern.
Mm-hmm. And I got a assignment at a customer of mine. Like, okay, so figure out a way that we can do undo. Like undo, redo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, so let me think about this for a moment. And 2 hours later, I came back like, yes, I have 2 ideas. One's very easy to implement, but will be heavy for the user. One's a lot harder to implement, but will be like easy on the resources of the customer computer. And the boss was like, oh, so this is that pattern and that pattern. And I'm like, I have no idea.
Sure,
I have no
yeah.
formal
Sure,
education.
yeah.
I just thought these up.
Yep.
Yep. So turns out I did have some good ideas, although you never feel like you do.
Yep. I invented Mediator that way.
Nice. I invented MVVM with services.
Exactly.
If you
It's
remember
funny how
when
many
we called
solutions
it
you come up with.
SOA, by the way.
Whoa.
Service-oriented architecture.
Yes.
Before
TBDGamer.
someone figured out the word microservices.
Yeah. What were you saying, TBD?
No, I just agreeing. I was like the it's funny the microservices thing. That's still. I will be honest and I'll say I have no idea what a real microservice looks like because I don't think I've ever seen one. We talk about them, people write about them, but it's kind of how I am with Kafka, right? I use Kafka the way I use it, but I've never seen anyone tell me I'm wrong, but I've never seen anyone tell me I'm right either because I don't see examples that show me here's how you actually use it because it all comes down to opinions. And the older I get, the more I'm just of the does it work? Is it productive? Is it breaking the systems? No, okay, it's good. I'll go with that. And if someone can demonstrate a better way, I'll learn a different way and
Absolutely.
adapt later.
I think the middle part there, like you said, is it productive? Is usually not in a microservice. It usually takes longer, but it does give you more scalability where it matters and better failover. Like, oh, this crashed, so can you spin up a new instance of it?
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, there are always microservices. If you build with a microservice architecture that, you know, if it goes down, the whole thing crashes. People keep talking about, you know, oh, so the thumbnail service isn't responding, so we'll just show a placeholder. And then your authentication service goes down, or your content service goes down, or whatever, and turns out you still had single point of failure that would bring the entire system down.
Noble says, every idea I invented was invented in 1960, but my idea was worse. And he also said, Kafka gives me PTSD. I thought this was a safe zone. I never said this was a safe zone, ever. I said this is a place where we have opinions and we talk about those opinions. And lastly, isn't microservice mainly to scale the org at the cost of complexity?
Yeah, exactly.
These are all true statements.
That.
Every single one.
Yeah. So you add complexity, but you make it scalable so that you can more easily add like load to it.
I got into a conversation.
And if you want to think about microservices, think about external services. Like, how do you send email? Via SMTP or like a third-party service?
I use
That was a question, TBD.
Do TBD.
Email, I think of. Email I hate putting into applications. So from what perspective, email to me is always a third-party service. I don't like hosting email infrastructure, so it's always an interface.
So that third-party service would be your microservice.
Mm-hmm.
If you put that internally, that would be a microservice.
Except that the thing that generates the emails and the content of the emails could be an internal microservice.
Yeah, and the email as well. I mean, if you have your own SMTP server and it was approved and you could send email from it, you can run the actual sending inside of your company as a microservice as well. It's like a thing that does one thing.
Yeah. But again, if you are reading the books and implementing things, you're oftentimes making all the same mistakes that the book was trying to avoid, but had to get you to an understanding in the first place. Like, what is a microservice is still open to interpretation like everything else, right? How small is a microservice? Because I've seen, what are they called? Not microservices. What's the other? There's another measurement service now, isn't there?
I have no idea.
Single responsibility principle from Solid.
Yeah. But that's why the way I'm building my application is I refer to them as components. They are mini monoliths, right? Because they are a group of services that are together doing things. They could be one or many actual services running to perform the thing, but they are a group of they're grouped together under a single piece.
Another term for that
has an entire session about that called modular monoliths.
Yeah, I was going to say another term for that is just module. Since you're calling it a modular monolith anyway, they really are just modules.
You put vertical slices, which is basically what you're doing. but you put them into the same application and you had them behind an interface. So if at some point you want to offload that to another computer or another service or whatever, you can take that interface and implement a network call instead via, I don't know, HTTP, gRPC, pure sockets, whatever, doesn't matter. And build an application that does that job instead. And that is, I think, a good way of going about it. Because again, email, just having that as an example, my application sends emails. It is actually a pretty bad idea because suddenly you have an email that doesn't go out. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to store it when it fails? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Instead, I'm right now building a event bus, an event queue, where I put the email send request, and then I have an Azure function that reads from there and actually sends the email. And if it fails, it leaves the message in the event queue.
Well, it goes in the dead letter queue because it never gets.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you need processes to clean it up.
Yeah.
And more work.
And then you forget about your dead letter queue.
Work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We have a major problem. Emails haven't sent out for 6 months and no one noticed. Now we need logging and we need monitoring and we need all sorts of other technologies that no one thought to do.
Yeah.
Exactly, Fula. No one looks in the dead letter queue.
Yeah. Speaking of chat, Rob Langdev said earlier, in my experience, microservices are good when you can split your domain model up so that each aggregate can operate independently. If you can't do that, you have a monolith. True.
100% that.
Mm-hmm.
And
like our
that is
app,
also
they're saying
a
we have
good case
microservices.
Yeah, that's also a good case for using repositories and not allowing the repositories to bleed out into each other. Like if you want to get a thing, you get it from that repository, right? Because then you could take that part of the database and put that somewhere else.
That's another conversation. Well, first of all, before that conversation, speaking of bleed, SynBleed said separation of concerns and independently deployable and improving modularity and security piece by piece. Yes. Mm-hmm. Also, the conversation about what goes in a repository, I've always wanted. I love exploring that topic. Well, what goes in a single repository in your version control, and then 2, when is it appropriate or a good reason to have cross-repository solutions? So those,
like sub-module stuff.
Yeah.
If you need to, what's it face? You know, when you link in a repository inside of another one, there's a name for it.
Sub-modules, I think.
Yeah, I feel that is a very bad idea in general.
I don't like working
because then you might as well put it in the same repo. In my opinion, these are just opinions.
I had a developer that once tried to demonstrate that, and he was amazing with Git. He was amazing with his stuff, and he tried to demonstrate it, and it all fell apart on him. And he spent the next half hour trying to undo what he'd done and make changes and pull changes, and he just got himself in a mess. I'm like, nope, you're not sold me on that. I'm not using that technique because you're struggling and you are a Git command line expert.
Yeah.
The rest of us
not selling me.
Yeah.
So here's an example though. This app here, I reference a Blazor component library, or I guess I will reference a Blazor component library from my own GitHub that's in the same, are they called companies? Whatever it's called. Organization, thank you. Same organization as this repo, but let's say that I'm also wanting to develop or improve the actual UI component, and I don't want to have to go to UI library, make it better, come back to, or do my pull request, essentially create a new NuGet package, come back to this app, update my NuGet package, test it out, and then iterate that way. So one argument for having multiple repositories instead of in one solution where they actually are separate repositories, which is the other half of the conversation, is quick iteration on improving or implementing a new feature that goes in that other repository.
I would say that there is a point where your iteration speed gets so low that it makes sense, or iteration speed, like your fluidity or how often you change things, that it makes sense to put it in a NuGet package. But when you're starting out dev, things happen all of the time. You don't want to have to go to a different project, make the modification, push that into source control, have a CI system, CD system, build it, push that in NuGet, get it half an hour later and figure out that, oh crap, I needed to change that thing as well. So in the beginning, it's always a good idea to have it in the same solution. I'm actually in a discussion about exactly this with a customer right now. Well, it's 8 p.m, so not right now, but earlier this week, where one of the devs was like, yeah, so we have two projects that do slightly different things with the same backend, but they're both in a single solution right now. He's like, yeah, we should split this up and put the data project and all the shared parts in NuGet. And like, no, we are changing things in there 4 times.
But I still
day.
don't think that that's a bad thing to do up front either. You're already establishing your project and solution and repository structure. So this is a discussion that I'm wanting to have. You are already establishing this is the final structure, so why not already do it in a way that matches that structure instead of needing to then decouple your current efforts into different repositories if you know these are eventually going to become NuGet packages or whatever else. Independently.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that if you build your code in the way that you will later have in NuGet packages, the only thing you'll need to do is remove the project reference, move that project out into its own solution, and put that in a NuGet package and reference that.
What if it already is in its own solution? And what you do instead is during development, you have your 2 repositories. So I'm showing that now, and you're doing your dev work, where your main project that you want to use that thing that's going to become a NuGet package references the project directly. But let's say in your CS proj that you reference it, you have a item group with a condition
while
that
while
says...
you're doing that, I have to drop off, I'm afraid.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Stunning strike of irony. I was going to type in the chat, dropping off and just leave. But
take care, TV.
That's awesome.
Always nice to see you.
Thank you for the chat.
Thank you
Sorry
so
I can't
much,
continue
TV.
on. But,
And we just lost Sean as well. Lost.
Yeah, he said he had a meeting in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, TBD. So yeah, in this case, like my recommendation for this type of work, so that you can have the best of both worlds, where you can have your repository that is all of your source control, all of the changes for that one specific portion. So in this case, my Blazor component library, and I have my commit changes in there and my commit history and separate work items, and it's its own repository. Is to have a conditional reference it in dev as a project reference in that solution, and then in production you only have NuGet package references.
Or what would the difference be in practice then?
Like I was mentioning before, your velocity in iterating on your, like in this case, my Blazor
but I mean,
library.
when you do a deploy, like a publish, why would you want to use a NuGet package instead of just building it as a DLL? Because it'll still end up as a DLL.
Because you are also sharing this library, the component library, with other teams, let's say. So your company has this large library of other people that have their development repositories that they want to share with everyone else. But for your project specifically, the one that you're most likely making this library for, you want to be able to iterate on it faster. But the final product will be for sharing with other teams, and you would do so typically as a NuGet package.
Yeah, I hear you. I usually do that at a later stage and set that up, but I hear what you're saying. It's like, I don't have a NuGet package until the velocity gets lower. Like there's no set point like, oh, so we're not doing changes more often than this. But once, you know, you don't do changes very often, then why not make a NuGet package out of it? But doing that from day one is, in my opinion, a bad idea. But I can hear what you're saying about using both. Like you create a NuGet package from day one, but on your project where it's changing all the time, you have it as a reference, right?
Yeah. And that is correct. That is what I'm saying, but only for argument's sake, because I still, like, I don't know. In this instance, in my first team instance where there was this existing project, I'm coming on board as a new team member, and they have all of this complexity for these are their NuGet packages that are in the project, but you're also making changes to that and then committing that to main master directly. Anyway, and then you need to know in your core application that you need to pull the latest shared packages other repo so that you have the latest stuff happening in your core application project. That was a pain point. So like if it was already established like this, I would see what dependencies were there, and it'd be easier transition.
There is one really big upside to having NuGet packages, and this is aimed at Snobel. Or aimed at, you know.
And when you get the chance, can you read out all of his stuff after you're done?
Yeah, he says that he'd rather use a Git sub module over a NuGet package and an internal NuGet package. Something that you get with a NuGet instead of using sub modules is versioning. So application B uses version 0.9, and they know what 0.9 is.
You get a recipe. Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yeah, pretty much. It won't suddenly be broken because Project A modifies it, and it's like alive because they know that 0.9 is there, and it works.
This is
like
a great argument against doing this type of situation.
Yes. But while your velocity is insanely high and the projects are closely interlinked, then keep it in the solution. But once it starts getting somewhat static, so you can actually do, you know, a version, then move it.
So I need to learn more about submodules. Like I thought it was just a methodology approach for pretty much doing what I'm doing here, which is adding project references when I'm in debug dev mode, whatever flag I have set that says, give me the direct project reference, and then doing the NuGet package references when I'm publishing or running in production.
Simplest way of describing it, and I might be oversimplifying here, is checking out code from repository B inside of repository A. And when you check that out, you can have a specific commit that you're checking out.
So we definitely do that in our build. Well, that happens in dev too. I'm asking.
Yeah, sorry. Asking.
So that also happens in dev because we're doing that in our build. So we have a specific version that we actually, it's so dumb. Our build, we can specify the branch for that shared packages backend stuff in the pipeline build so that we can actually have a successful build before our PR or for our PR. But in the merge, it will always check out master. And yes, I am going to keep saying master because that's what they decided to leave their branch name as. It will check out master for those shared packages and then master for the main application. And we break a lot because master isn't the version that the application was working on.
Yeah, it's like binding redirects and suddenly kapoof.
So I'm going to read through this. You can definitely talk, but I'm going to read through what Snubble is saying about submodules because I really like, is it an actual technology though? Like
it's
a way
an architectural technology, I think. The fact that you can do it. I agree. I mean, it's a tool like every other tool, but I think it comes with a lot of downsides. And as you say, it's not one of the downsides is that the tooling out there sucks. You need to know Git command line to be able to use them.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. There's this other team. They definitely, and we never got to this part of the conversation, so maybe we can have it now. What belongs in a repo? So this other team has pretty much one. Do I want to call it project? Yeah, they have a lot of instances where it's only one project per repo. And sometimes it's a solution with multiple projects, but those are one NuGet package. So I think their approach is one NuGet package per repo. And with that, they wrote a command line script that they can run to do when they do git checkout branch name. It does git checkout for every single one of the projects or every single one of the repos in that folder where all of the repos are expected to exist.
I would say that my answer to that is the same as with NuGet. When your velocity is incredibly high, keep everything in one repo. The downside of this technique is that you will lose your history. But at some point, when it starts slowing down, split it up into multiple repos where one application is a repo, one NuGet package is a repo, and start putting the shared surfaces in NuGet, aka the middleman repos there. But one application would be in one repo. So in our case, we'd have a UI application, we'd have a Blazor application, an Angular application, and an Avalonia application, which would all use a data NuGet, which is also a repo. And each of those are in repos. But I mean, the Avalonia application, for example, is right now 15 projects on its own. And that's fine.
Our main application on its own is not many. Hold on. The answer is 15. And then the shared packages with so we have an individual tool that performs a test on hardware. We have 40 something of those. I can't really count that high. And then we have another 30 support packages for those tool testing in shared libraries. For how do I detect hardware to begin with? Give me the base test tool, that kind of thing. So total of 90 projects for the entire application.
Yeah, that's a bunch. And they could probably be split up into multiple repos. Because the more you have in a single repo, the harder it'll be to work with. Have you heard about is it GitLF? Git large file system or something?
LFS? Mm-hmm.
Git LFS, yeah. And
yes.
who developed that?
No. I haven't heard much in the
Microsoft
history of it.
Developed that.
I've just used
it. And do you know why?
Unity.
No. Windows. Because Windows is one repo.
Oh, jeez.
The whole thing is in one repo. And they have terabytes in there. So they actually invented a file system to be used for those kind of repos. Now, I'm not saying that is a good idea when you reach that size, but it is doable.
Man, I'm dark.
But having every Windows driver dev also have to check out the source code for Paint.
Yeah. And it's I'm not even working in that project. Why do I have to download it?
Yeah. You're as far removed as possible from Paint. You're working on the kernel, but you still have to have it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
With LFS, you get the file pointers, but not the content.
Yeah.
I believe, right?
That sounds right. I mean, I haven't really used it for much.
But you haven't downloaded it.
Yeah, I haven't used it for much because the only time that I used it was when I was trying to learn more about the HoloLens, and I was using Git as the source control for all of the projects that I was trying to do with it. So that's when I first heard about it
myself. I just know it exists and why.
Yeah. Rob Langdev says, when looking at and this is a very true statement, so prepare yourself. When looking at a complex legacy architecture, it's hard to understand the decisions and pressures that caused it to become complex. That in itself is an entire day's topic. I could talk about that for hours, especially with our team. I won't though. What I will ask is, for our conversation that we were having, first of all, why are you saying that you're being added? Did I add you into this folder instead of as a reference?
I just realized we totally ignored a question from Duka, a technical question.
Wait. Nuh-uh. I don't miss stuff. Okay, if I needed to make, say, 2000 plus HTTP request from a Blazor page by pressing a button, what would be the way to do it? Yes, it's many. Yes, it's from a WordPress endpoint. Yes, I hate it.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Hide it. Create a server endpoint somewhere that calls it out into your microservices and call that once from the browser. Don't do 2000 plus HTTP requests.
That's a good answer.
Directly from the browser.
Do you have the ability to do that if you're still listening, Dugasoft? You've been ignored for so long. I'm sorry. Do you have the availability to have a backend service that you make one request to and it does the 2000 HTTP request for you?
With Poly.
With Poly, especially. That's a really good package. Yeah, we'll call it package. If you don't know about it. Makes retry and failing much, much easier.
Mm-hmm. Snobble, you did sound a bit toxic, but I know what you meant, and I know you.
I didn't even read it.
So I know it wasn't meant that way. Yeah, it's a really fresh message here.
Huge important.
Said that he would ask the worst, best Blazor dev, Jimmy. AKA the author of the only Blazor book with a raccoon on the front.
Raccoons shouldn't be canines. They're as kawaii as cats. Dang it.
Are raccoons canines?
I believe so.
I have no idea. I thought they were pandas. I know they aren't pandas.
I spelled it wrong. That's how much I don't like them. But yes, raccoons are canines. They're not a kind of dog species. What?
Raccoon dog is not a raccoon, I think. I think it's a dog that looks like a raccoon.
Oh. They're Nycteris.
People also ask, are raccoons a canine? First question there.
No, they're not canids at all. It's another one of those I grew up being taught that they are. So yes, they are more like pandas than... Although pandas aren't bears, probably.
It seems like there's a dog breed called...
I mean, that's what these pictures are up here.
Yeah. Exactly, Duka. One click on your UI that does a call to your own API, and that API can do the heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. And possibly, if you can do 2000 plus, I would try to parallelize the parts that you can. So you run multiple web requests, and that is a good reason why not to do it in JavaScript or WASM, because that is technically not multi-threaded.
Right. But
so you can only do one request at a time, which will take a long time if you're doing 2000.
Oh, no. That's a lie. We'll get to that in a second. Yep.
Okay.
But one thing that you would want to consider, though, is how many people need to hit that back-end service. Because if it's 2000 calls every single time it hits your back-end service, that is one service that is making 2,000 HTTP calls, and then you have, well, in your case, you only have one person, so it still would work very well for you. But if it was multiple people, you have pretty much 2,000 calls per request from the same origin to your HTTP endpoints, which could be blocked with
High rate
DOS.
limiting.
Yeah, and high rate limiting stuff. So if you also need the resources saved, again, 1,000 people calling one endpoint that does 2,000 HTTP requests per one request, then you're using a lot of resources at that endpoint. So maybe you do want to offload it to the client. So
What you want to do is create a botnet.
essentially,
Speaking of DDoS,
the thing that I do is all of my lookups, for example, in applications that have lookups. This is the one that's freshest on my mind. I do HTTP requests to go out and fetch each lookup from the same endpoint with a different type. So just imagine that this is your 2,000 requests that you need done at the same time, just at a much smaller scale. So what you will see here in 5 seconds. Okay, all of these with the numbers are HTTP requests that happen simultaneously, asynchronously, I should say.
okay.
So I have a task that is HTTP get from JSON async, HTTP get from JSON async. They're all tasks, and then I await task when any, or probably task when all.
Yeah.
What I meant. So all of the HTTP requests happen at the same time, but my processing will happen asynchronously when I get the data back.
I think you are wrong.
Look at the waterfalls.
I think. Can you see the exact start time?
Probably
exactly the same.
They're not. They're
Blazor
asynchronous.
hides it really well.
Yeah, what I mean is that all of the requests are made asynchronously, or actually serially, probably. So this may be going from left to right very slightly, but they are all overlapping. So they're all being processed on the server at the same time. When they give me a response, I will process that response. As opposed to do the first request, wait for a response, do the second request, wait for a response, kind of thing.
Yeah, gotcha. But it can only parse one response at a time afterwards, right?
Most likely. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not in...
I know that there was a huge issue with multi-threading on WASM, but from what I understand, it's also about to be fixed.
Or hopefully.
I can be entirely wrong as well, though.
But no, I mean, you're definitely
not
right. The UI runs, the clients will run on one thread in browsers, but HTTP 2, HTTP 3, whatever it is that's coming out is multi-threaded. So that should change that, since .NET is a multi-threaded platform. Then you should be able to also handle multi-threading on the client when it happens.
I like Snobber's comment there.
Same.
Will they finally add race conditions and deadlocks to web?
Most likely. That will be... I mean, like, .NET does a really good job of thread management, in my opinion.
Yeah. If you never lock things, you won't end up in a deadlock.
That's what I feel. It's like, I have never had to use lock or semaphore or anything.
I have.
Or in my web dev stuff.
Okay, never in my web dev. No.
Yeah. But I'm seeing all over the place in the app. This is a desktop app over here that I'm working on. It has hardware bound calls and stuff, so I understand the need for locks and semaphores for unmanaged code. But they're trying to bring that over into the UI portion. And I'm like, why?
Speaking of microservices, by the way, going way, way back, the application I'm working on right now will be talking to some hardware. The way that they've decided to do it is build processes that will run on the device that will get the signal interrupt when someone pushes a button, and I will have to poll that using a socket. So I need to send a message to the socket, hey, has anyone pushed a button? And get an answer
Really?
back like, no.
So
And then send a new request, has anyone pushed a button? Yes, it was this button. And I'm
it's not an event type thing? You
Nope.
don't get notified when SIGINT happens?
nope.
Hi,
Nope.
Disco. Did I
need to
say
poll.
hello,
Even
Disco?
though we have an open socket connection, I still need to poll.
Yeah, that makes no sense
That-
to me.
No, I agree. Because it gets the SIGINT on the other side, so it knows exactly when it happened, and it flips like a flag. It flips a flag.
Cool.
But nope, won't tell me until I ask it.
Yeah, we probably have a similar issue in our app because, like, I mean, you're constantly, not constantly, users have the possibility of unplugging and plugging in peripheral devices while our app is running. And what we do is we don't even poll. If you go to a screen that has need for that device, then it does IO, or not IO, a hardware bound. Is this thing still connected?
Yeah.
Or are there new devices?
Yeah, checking for new, I think, is all right. But once you have something and an event happens on it, I think there should be an event out as well from that.
Leopard Kafka. I recommend against it. Use the official Confluent Kafka client. Or just
And the
don't use
application I'm
Kafka.
building right now will be, okay, so we lost some hardware. That means that something is really messed up, so I'll stop it, because everything will be in one box, right? There are no plug, unplug ports or anything.
Snabble's still having PTSD.
Yeah. I have never used Kafka.
I haven't either. I don't know too much about it. It's some kind of messaging queuing system. That's the extent that I know.
Yeah, pretty much.
I used RabbitMQ. I have no idea if it's even comparable or if RabbitMQ handles a different problem, I guess.
Yeah. I think Kafka is the enterprise version of that.
I tried to scroll up to see if there were comments that I missed, and there are. They're all over the place. Off topic, but CPU instructions are async these days. Yes, I can attest.
They are
And
also
now-
look ahead.
NPUs are a thing, which is crazy.
This is taking a while. I will keep executing the program just in case we will enter this if later.
So that was in response to
True
one of Snobble's thing.
Yeah.
Why is everyone talking about these? I like how, to me, I kind of see a parallel with whatever's going on with the NPUs and what Mac has already done with the M2.
Mm-hmm.
Have already done with the M2.
That's one of those, like, how did I miss this entire thing? Because it's probably 3 years ago or something that I started seeing places like HP and Dell EMC and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know, the server divisions. They start talking about, oh, so we're adding a neural processor to this thing. And my reaction was, okay, why?
Mhm.
And then last
now it
year,
makes sense, right?
GPT happened, and all of a sudden
Mhm.
AI is in the forefront of everything.
Mhm.
And like they start talking about it 2 years ago on the hardware side, and I entirely didn't understand why. And now I do.
Mm-hmm. Just imagine. Like, it even happened on HoloLens 1, where they were discussing adding a HPU. Because, of course, this head-mounted device does not need a CPU, or at least not only a CPU. It needs something that can process holographic graphics. Can I say it
Yep.
that way? And so why not make a dedicated device that does just that? And now AI is becoming massive. So why not make a device that is only working on doing the AI processing and specialized in that? So does that mean that that's where we're going in hardware?
Yeah, if you can build an IC that does one job, it's going to be better at that than a generic circuit that does whatever. Just can seriously optimize for doing this specific thing, which is what the holographic coprocessor did, which is what an MPU does. It's like, okay, so this task, this work requires this kind of structure. Why not, quote, hard code it, quote, use in the actual silicon, right? We're going to build a neural network. All right, let's build hardware that only does neural networks.
It's the same reason that they're saying that AI models we should be focused on making general AI models as opposed to specific task-oriented AI models. It's like, why not a healthy dose of both? Because if you make a whole bunch of specific task AI models, then you could squish them together into a module and make one general AI that way. But no, we need to make one chip and start from the get-go as general AI.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have a mixture of experts, so we're kind of going that direction. But anyway, Snubble, a long time ago, Snubble said, what happens if button was pressed and released between two network calls? The reason I'm bringing that up is because we actually have a test, an audio test in our app that when it comes up, you're presented with, here are the audio devices that you could possibly test. Click on the one that you want to test. You click on it, it plays a tone. The other ones are not clickable. However, they aren't restricted from being clicked. They just don't do anything when you click them, except for a recent change that happened where if you click on a second one, it tries to instantiate a new test and then they conflict and then crash the app. It's like, oops. Same thing with
and in my
canceling.
case, sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, in my case, the button server, if you can call it that, keeps a flag around until I've read it. Yeah.
And I would say it's the way that we answered this one, which is just if there's a test already running, then disable the thing from even being clicked in the UI, which I know people can get around. So obviously have the code behind support that too. But it's just funny. And then another thing that recently happened, this is just off-topic story as well, off-topic, where our tester was talking in hyperbole because he was like, I tested this thing. No, I tested it like 80 times and then it failed on the 80th time. Like to say it's robust, and they're like, or actually he said 40. In order to demonstrate that you have to be abusing the app in order to make this thing crash. And they're like, oh, well, maybe we should start testing everything 40 times in order to try to find a crash. And he was like, that's not what I meant. It's another testing everything 40 times. Say again?
Will this application have users?
The application has millions of users currently, yes.
Assume a lot of them are going to abuse it.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, we have a team of, well, let's say that our testing team is one person, and then we have two that are part of two different teams that also do testing for us, and no automated testing.
Oh.
So
that's a difficult.
It's not really appropriate for our team to do, for every single time we make a change, make sure you test all of our possible functionality 40 times each to see if it crashes in one of those.
I see the issue. I have a really good testing resource, but it doesn't scale very well. and that is my 73-year-old dad. He has a superpower. He can, he can take an application and he can put his forehead on the keyboard and just roll it around and see
And
what
you
happens.
hollow
with really
bones.
random buttons. His superpower is that he does that, but he also knows which buttons he pressed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine like a monkey just hitting the keyboard, and when it crashes, he can say, "Okay, so I pushed Alt
Yeah, this
G
is the last
H
thing that I pushed.
5 at the same."
Yeah, that's awesome. I like it. Managed Kafka solution. Wait, there was a whole
I would
story.
love to have a tester that actually knows what he's doing and can do normal tests as well, but that'll have to be me for the moment.
Yeah.
And the issue there is that I know how things are supposed to work.
Yeah. And that's where you
They
need user
always work
groups and
perfectly.
people that aren't the developers testing the app.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me read Snubble's stuff first, and then I'll ask you this question. Hopefully I remember. When a 30-node Kafka cluster starts misbehaving, then your Christmas is ruined. And then Rob Lang apologized to him. Sorry for laughing, but I like the idea that 29 nodes is okay and 30 nodes Christmas is ruined. Oh, that was probably something up further that I didn't read. There's a lot to this. Of course, I was kind of incompetent at Kafka. The people that built the cluster had quit a long time ago. Man, I love inheriting legacy code when the team is gone. No docs, of course. The deploy scripts didn't work. The Kafka version was way behind, and it was real time. So when I had a hiccup for 5 seconds, my pager called me. Ouch. EA Sports. It's in the game. Where did that come from?
At Shipstead. Snobble. Now I'm name dropping companies here, but he had a session where he talked about, crisis management. And what to do when every piece of excrement in the building has hit the fan and is currently showering the CEO.
Absolutely. Hello, other guy. I could read it. Hello, other guy. What triggered the EA Sports comment? Inquiring minds want to know. So do you remember what we were talking about when I said I wanted to ask you a thing?
Testing. And my dad being able to run his head over things. I think.
I should have written it down.
I never...
Because I wanted your opinion on this
do
thing.
this in a second, and then I can't remember what I was going to do. Because someone else kept talking over you.
Who was it? Was it Snubble?
That would be me.
I can't even read that word.
Hipstead.
Like, my brain can say that, but I don't think my mouth would be able to.
Think Homestead.
Okay.
And Shib. Can you say Shib?
Okay, so just Shib.
Yeah, and then Stead.
Shibstead.
Hipstead.
Am I cursing? Am I saying foul language?
No, it's a company. They own like % of the media in Sweden.
Oh, it was about a presentation. What did you tell me about presentation?
No, Phil Snobble had a presentation.
No. You were saying something about presentation before. And he just reminded me that you were talking about a presentation, and that's what triggered my question that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, but I did a presentation about what I'm streaming about.
No. There was something else that you were talking about a presentation before.
And talking in front of people.
No, that's way too far back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like within the past 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh. I have
roll the tape back. Somebody roll the tape back. I could have just done that, but we're close to the end, so I'm just gonna ask you to do your stand up instead.
Do you want me to do it?
Yes, please. Thindal, you're up.
I've had a shit week, productivity wise, but I'm hoping for a good weekend. I have a friend coming over from the States tomorrow. So we're probably gonna do something fun before he leaves on Monday. And
Click.
yeah,
Just
other
kidding.
than that, no blockers. AKA, I'll be getting absolutely nothing done.
I was trying to do the TBD thing. I typed in chat need to drop, and I was gonna drop. No, I was just joking. I wasn't gonna do that.
Yes, that's my week and my weekend.
Cool.
How about-
My week, my work week was working on this warranty card. I need to mock all of the possible statuses that could come back from this API. Thankfully, I found a way to do that without the API owners letting me know what possible statuses they can send back to us. And I have no way of faking a product number or serial number at the moment to get those. But that required a rewrite of the card, so it's taking longer for it to be fully ready for a PR. But once I do, I'll submit the PR. Working on that today. Should have it done by the end of the day, if not Monday.
Yeah. Quick question before we end it. You said
64.
rewriting the card. What do you think about, when you get a task card and it has just a title? And you don't even really understand the title. And the guy who wrote it
card?
is not like a task,
Okay.
Task on the task board, yeah? It has just a title.
Okay.
And it's very ambiguous, and the only guy who knows about who wrote it is like constantly in meetings and can't be reached. And I'm going insane. Like,
NCBA?
what do you actually want me to do here?
Okay. So
Yeah.
just to exemplify what
So-
Thindal's asking,
Do the thing.
He has this,
Yes,
and only that.
pretty much. The problem, Snobble, is that the person who wrote it is also the boss.
Then I would
And-
personally, I would still indicate that I am not able to do a thing because I am not sure what that thing is. Therefore, and I would do this via email.
Telling him at the stand-ups, like, okay, so I'm doing this, but afterwards I will try to do this, but I don't know exactly what you want.
Well, yeah, that's why I say do it via email. Make very, very short words because bosses and I guess people in general just don't like to read emails. It's not a effective communication medium, even though it's my favorite and preferred. Anyway, and just say, I need more details on this in order to be successful at completing it. Please let me know what it is. Leave it at that. Move to your next work item. Because you followed up, and maybe
That's
even
what I'm
include in
doing,
the...
Only it's what you just did multiplied by 45.
Yeah, but leave it at that. That's the thing. You're not leaving it. You're poking at it constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Did you see the meme about, you create a bullet point list and then you ask GPT to create an email from these bullet points, and then on the other side someone goes, oh crap, this is too much text. GPT, create a bullet point list from this email.
That's funny.
Anyways, I will stop now, and I will tell you to have a wonderfully awesome weekend and beginning of
Absolutely.
your next week.
Same.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
Bye. Thank you.
And thank you all for being here. I I have many comments on the chat GPT thing. Just using AI in general in this day and age and the way that it's abused and the way that it could be used. But yeah, that's for another time. Maybe next Friday. The discussions we had today, so that I can maybe remind myself all on LinkedIn. Exactly. Let's just have the emails respond to each other and have no human in the middle anyway. That's what I'm all for. Let's make a system that when you get an email, it makes the response for you without you having to read it. And then the other person gets the email, same thing, and then they're just responding to each other and work gets done. I'm an AI, help me. Have fun, Disco. Anyway, point is, we're at the end of the stream, so thank you all for being here. Thank you for being awesome and amazing and just wonderful people. Thank you to Thindal. Oh, right. For my benefit, the things that we talked about today were, dang it, I should have said it before I got to this point. I'm still going to have to watch the video back. What I was hoping to do was summarize it at the end, so all I'd have to do is come to the end of the video and hear myself say this, but I'm not going to remember. I'm going to have to skip through the video. Scrub through it. Big Gamey is on. I was trying to figure out, this is really hard to type when I'm doing this. Get Blamey. So let's head on over to Get Blamey. If Solo decides to stream today as well, I'll be on his stream lurking, but right now I'm lurking on Mooniz and Sorcery Story and Finite. And I'll be semi-active on BitGamey's channel. Oh my gosh, this is so hard to type. Great. I can't talk, type, and wave at the same time. I can talk and type at the same time, but I can't talk, type, and wave at the same time. How crazy is that? Okay, so if you feel like heading over to BitGamey's channel with me, then hang out for the raid. Otherwise, feel free to just head about your day. That's the end of our stream. I will be back again on Monday. You need an IoT wave device, absolutely. I'll be back again on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be working on the financial management tracker redesign stuff. And that one is awesome. Have you used that on Irish John's stream yet? Because that's pretty awesome. Run it by sending 2,000 plus requests from Blazor. Oh yeah. Yes. Oh dear. I started way too early. My arm is tired. Oh, and he's getting muted. Was that you, Dukasoft? That's just rude. Okay, ciao for now. Enjoy your week. Oh, I'll also post a recording of this video to YouTube at some point. Bye.